We got all these notes, and we were supposed to follow this little plan. But listen, I need to get them what they're here for. Okay, they're here to see from Miss Aliya Postal. They here to hear from what it takes to really build a business, and most importantly, a black woman in business doing her thing. And so I think it's important. So Aliya Postal, she's a dynamic, ambitious entrepreneur who embarked on a transformative journey in 2016. After making the brave decision to leave her traditional workforce, Aliya set out to pursue higher education with leveraging her skills as a certified pharmacy technician and bartender. As Aliya worked diligently toward earning their ASN in healthcare administration, they saw an opportunity to venture into the world of online tax preparation. You was out there slanging taxes.
I still do taxes.
Oh, okay. You better get to the bag. Okay. But that was just the beginning of her entrepreneur endeavors. Graduating with a BSN and becoming a registered nurse. Oh, you just a hustler. I'm a hustler, baby. Aliya didn't immediately dive into the healthcare field. Instead, they seized another opportunity and purchased an LLC with the goal of helping small businesses thrive by providing valuable insight into management, organizational structure. So you know a little bit about that business. Then she, had a passion for entrepreneurship, continue to grow. She's a dear friend. She does a great thing. But most importantly, guess what, y'all? She got a poppin' restaurant / lounge / kicking spot / place I still ain't been invited to. I got an issue with that. So we're going to welcome to the interview hot seat. It's not really a hot seat, but it's cold. It's warm. It's a warm seat. Aliya Postal. What's going on, Aliya?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. Now I wanna ask some questions that I feel like most entrepreneurs that are on the journey that's trying to figure it out. They don't really know where they want to go. I want to ask some questions that can really impact them.
Okay.
Especially, with the background that you had of, helping small businesses and stuff get started. So the question I first have, it seems like just like any entrepreneur journey, you kind of start off with your hands in a bunch of different pots. Mm-hmm. Talk about that process of you trying to figure out the footing that you wanted to kind of go on and what that looked like in the beginning stages.
So when I'm asked this question, it's like there's really no like backstory to it. It's like one day I woke up. So first of all, starting off, when I went back to school,
okay,
it was me working in the workforce. Like I just got to a point where every time something would come up, I had a problem with everything. Like I had a problem with the system and how they did things. And one of my friends was like, you're not as good of a worker as you think you are. And I'm like, I really ain't, because I'm trying to find efficiency, and then it causes me problems because I'm supposed to be reading the script and all these kind of things. So I had to like leave that job because it was actually causing me like
anxiety, stress.
Yeah, like, and I had never experienced that. So I was like, okay, I got to find something. And
right.
I don't even know what that's going to be. So I just left. And then I happened to run across the whole, like I said, I was still in school at that time.
Okay.
So the tax thing fell in my lap. I was just looking for part-time work. I ended up meeting a guy that had his own tax service, and he was looking for a receptionist. We sat down and talked. He was like, you probably should be a tax preparer.
Okay.
Taught me the game, and then within like that year, I decided, me and a friend, she was like, you need to just do your own thing.
So this was after when you, were you still in school at this time?
I was still in school. This time I'm still getting the associate's degree.
Oh, wow. So you're still in school getting your associate's degree. And then you were working at a job that you was like, yo, I can't handle
I just can't.
what they bringing out.
Right.
And then from there you say, hey, I need some type of income or something.
And it could have been anything.
You say, okay, I'm gonna go into the tax space because I started with needing income.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So like I said, for that's where I became an entrepreneur in a sense. Like I did the tax thing, and I bartended and served for the next, that was 2016. So the next like 4 or 5 years, I had already been bartending though. That was always a side.
Okay.
So as I'm approaching finishing nursing school, I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna go in. I want to own a med spa.
Okay.
I never wanted to be like a bedside nurse.
Okay.
I always wanted to kind of do something more hands-on, helpful, but not in the hospital.
Okay.
So that's why immediately I didn't enter the force. I had a friend of mine who has a really big catering business now. She was just kind of diving into her purpose too. And so I was just like, need to do something. And she was like, oh, you could help me here during the days. And I kind of took it like super duper serious. Like, okay, I'll be your manager and I'll do this and do that. And she had her own, she's turned to a crazy business too. But
okay.
Tastes amazing. There's a plug.
Tastes amazing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, so she turned into this big thing. But at the time, I was just like, well, let me, I was having so much fun, like helping her manage and had all these ideas, which were beyond both of us at the time. So she was like, she wanted to find like a kind of a spot at the time. And I was like, well, I want to do something. Like, I'm still at this point, like, I want to do something. So,
so you don't know what you want to do yet. We just searching.
We're just searching. So we were on the phone one day, and I had seen some stuff because I was traveling and stuff. So I'm really inspired by Houston.
Okay.
The Houston scene. So I had been going there, and some of their spots, I'm like, dang, I love it here. Like, I like to go out here. I don't want to live here, but I like to go out here.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. So I said, well, I could do something like a mimosa bar because this is right off the pandemic. Okay. Where you could partnership with like food trucks and stuff. You don't have to dive into the restaurant business.
So all right, let me pause here. Let's. All right. So, what was the time frame or year difference between when you went in school, helping with taxes, to working with your friend?
Okay, so the time frame for leaving the business 2016, I did taxes and was in school
at the same time.
At the same time, I got the associates. In 2018,
okay,
entered nursing school, and I graduated December 2020.
And you already had the thought process, like, I want my own healthcare or spa or something.
I always wanted to be in.
So you never wanted to go into
restaurant.
Okay, so you got certified so that you can. Okay.
So it's like it kept. That's what happened. It's like you've been doing this, and you actually know what you're doing over here, and it all kind of started to come out.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I want to do just a bar because that's what I've been working in is bars. So we reached out to
because that was the side thing that you were doing.
Right.
Okay.
So that was kind of, again, just it happened. So I reached out to one of my friends. She's a broker in real estate, and she gave us she put us into the business or the search, and I ended up finding this really big building, which is what I'm in. And I was just overwhelmed. I'm like, I can't do that. Like, she started telling me. Okay.
Oh, this is getting good. Okay, so you went for college. You work inside gigs. You still trying to figure because you still got med spa in mind.
Yes.
You still like, okay, I'm just getting along to get along until I can get my place and run my med spa.
Right.
Okay. So then you went to Houston. You got inspired. Like, okay, I do bar thing. I can do a little mimosa, a little something situation. Mm-hmm. And then you had a friend that was able to connect you, or you connected with a friend who was does commercial real estate broker found you a location. Yeah. Now it's a big location.
It's a huge location.
And this is the first location.
Yes.
I need to talk. Come on, we got to talk about it. Okay.
So this is the monster. It's 6,100 square feet. She's telling me like she's giving numbers, and I'm like, I can't do that. She was like, well, why don't you reach out to some of your friends that are already in the business or looking to get in the business. So initially I started with 2 people. And it was like, I'm not really sure. Like, they were on board. We get out. So first of all, there's business plans. I never in my life wrote a business plan.
Okay.
So she gave me some steps on how to write a business plan.
Okay.
So I go, and I'm really good at, kind of like improvising and doing all that kind of stuff back in school. So I write this business plan. And it turns out to be about a 30-page business plan because I have to analyze, like, how I compete in the market,
how it's going to grow,
and what my plans are to not be the Texas Lives or to be these different things. How am I going to compete with those places? Right. So I wrote out the business plan. You have to present it to the landlords. They like the concept. Okay. And so July we signed the lease, and we're just not even prepared for what's about to happen. Pretty much. Okay. So
before we even get there, cause y'all it get juicy. So all right, let's back up for a second. Okay. Because I want to talk about how you were exposed to a bigger opportunity than you planned. Okay. And what were those feelings? What were those emotions like? Yo, like, am I biting off too much I can chew? Like, what state or frame of mind were you in at that time? Mm-hmm. Jumping into something, y'all. The building huge. Okay. So what was your frame of mind?
So initially, she showed me a couple of other places, and I was sold. I'm like, oh yeah, I could do something with this, and just thinking about the numbers in my head. But then when she, kind of, once we seen the building, and I was showing the building to other people, they're like, yeah, you got to do this. I mean, for one, the previous people in there kind of had a nice setup going too. But we're talking about a shell. Like, we're talking about needing new floors, like, it's all kind of stuff. And I'm just super, now at this point, she put it in my head. Yeah, nice. So now I'm just like super optimistic and hopeful. But what kept happening was I would go home at night, peaceful, ready to go to bed, and I could not sleep. Like I couldn't sleep, and I kept waking up. Like, and every time I woke up, I would just do more research and just add more to it and kind of do a checklist. And I started looking up like opening restaurant checklists and like all these things to see all these pieces that I needed to put in place because I had no idea.
Okay.
So from that point, it was just kind of like autopilot. I never thought about it again.
Because once you committed to it, it's like, oh, we're gonna make it happen.
I never thought about it again. I just started doing it, and along the way, whether it was somebody added to the team, taken away from the team, if I found, I went through several contractors. I went through even with the permitting process. There's just so many steps. Like you have to hire so many people.
Right.
So I did start working. I was a nurse administrator. So every check I got from that, I'm just putting it.
All right, so stop. Let's back on up now. So you're still working a job.
I have to
sustain your life. You grinding.
Yeah, I'm still
while you're planning for your future.
Correct. I'm still bartending. I didn't stop bartending probably a month before we opened.
Wow.
And I worked that job too. So right in November is when I stopped working for a while. And then of course that kicks off tax season. So I am still working.
Got it.
But I quit the side gigs and jobs and stuff.
So then you took your side gigs, money, how you're living, and whatever surplus.
Everything.
You dumping it right into this new
all
dream.
The savings, everything. Like I'm just paying things. Like they'll say, okay, today the contractor, you owe this amount of $1,000. So I'm like, okay, boom. I'm using savings. I'm using credit cards, which I tell people because, for one, coming off of the pandemic and really still now as a brand new business and with what happened during the pandemic with the PPPs and stuff like that, the money's not for the restaurants. They say that. Like, although that's the one business that was allowed to be open for real during the pandemic, they say we're not giving money for restaurants.
Wow.
They have a list of all kind of other things, but like restaurant was not, especially first restaurant.
Right.
That wasn't on the list of things. So there was no grants and loans that I knew about, especially as a brand new, I don't have an established, LLC or anything like that. So that was all earnings.
Wow. And wow. And one thing we haven't mentioned is the fact that you launched this restaurant in pandemic still.
Yeah, right off of the tail
end. Right off the tail end where people are still kind of hesitant. The restaurant that you were in actually went out of business.
Right.
The one next door went out of business. So knowing that those two businesses that's been there for a while were going out of business because of the effect of the pandemic, did that mess up any of your optimism or your?
No, not really. So the concept that was in there prior to me, I kind of understood because they have a bunch of restaurants. So they just had to kind of make a decision like we need to kind of close some locations. So I don't look at theirs as maybe necessarily a failure, but more like they have that opportunity to make that business decision and take their loss. The company next door to me, I didn't know they were closing. They closed like 30 days after I opened. So I didn't even know they were closing.
Got it.
So that was a shock too. But this, like I said, a lot of this I didn't even know how big this was going to be when it opened. I just figured kind of make the money, pay things.
Got it.
I just wasn't.
Got it.
It was never this. I didn't think any of this out. Let's just put it like that.
Okay.
Start.
And I do want to dig in that.
Yeah.
Because there is some special nuggets you get from people that say, listen, I felt the urge. I felt like maybe God was in my corner. I just moved, and sometimes just saying yes.
Right.
Is sometimes the best decision you can make at the time. But then you were talking about taking money from your hard-earned bread, your savings, cars, and everything to make this thing happen.
Right.
What were there any other investors you were able to raise money with, or was it just your money that?
No. So originally, I had one partner.
Okay.
That actually signed with me from the beginning, and he was very open to the concept. Like he's a go-getter and things like that, and so he was kind of out to just kind of make some money across the board in different industries. So with me, he just was like, I don't know anything about this, but here you go ahead.
I got you.
So that was the beginning, and then we had partnered with someone towards the end of things that had a bit more of the business aspect. Really, like he sat down with us and started telling us stuff that we hadn't even thought about.
Got it.
Down to like we knew we needed payroll systems, we knew we needed these things, but like he would tell us, you know, this is how much you plan on making. You can put some this towards this, and I'm like, I just gonna open these doors and wish for the best.
Right.
So we learned a lot with him.
So he served almost like an advisor for his period of time with you.
Correct.
Like kind of giving you the game and stuff along the way.
Right.
So I do want to stop here and kind of go back with that information. After you became like knowledgeable of all the things you still needed to have in place.
Yes.
When you think about the information or maybe education that now you knew that you maybe should have had kind of going in, do you think that it would have saved you some money in areas that you made mistakes, or how do you look at?
I feel like the biggest area would have just probably been things that involve the building, contracting, remodeling and things like that, honestly, because a lot of the rest of it, I just wasn't taking up for answers. So there's a lot of permitting that happens, and I was just showing up places. So I feel like, if I would have probably had the research, I probably would have been a little more skeptical about just showing up. But I was just showing up.
Got you.
If I needed a signature for something, I just show up. And I'm like, hey, I'm here for this signature. And they're like, oh, no, you need to go here first, here first, here first, here first. So there is I know a lot of people with the liquor licensing. Along this last like 2 years, I hear people paying this certain amount of money for people to do it for them. Which, don't get me wrong, that's good for convenience, because I get why now.
Right.
Because you'll show up somewhere and you didn't realize, like, you were supposed to go online and do this first, and then you're supposed to go to the newspaper and do this. It's like 100 steps to every step that I didn't know. So I was just showing up. That would have been good to know, but I wouldn't. You think
you had a little bit of the edge because you didn't know, like?
Yes, I wouldn't change a thing about that part, because when I'm showing up, that damsel in distress was kind of helping me out a whole lot, especially with the government offices and stuff, because you go to Tarrant County, you go back to Dallas. I mean, it's so many things you have to do, which is why you actually would be probably better off with a team.
Right.
But then also, you know how that works with teams. You waiting on somebody to do something. I want stuff done
now.
That day.
Right.
If I can get it done that day, I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do 3-4 things in a day.
I got you.
Yeah.
So now we getting up to the opening. Like, you're like, okay, got the money invested. We didn't put everything in here. I'm still going to keep working as close to as I can, because I don't know if this thing is going to make money off the bat. I don't know where we're going to be. We got projections. I don't know.
Right.
But you had a projected day you wanted to open.
Right. So originally it was October. With the pandemic still, there's so much like delays with furniture and just all kind of stuff.
Okay.
You know, like even with the liquor license, it used to be a paper process up until that year. So up until that year, you do this packet and then you go and turn it in.
Okay.
The day I finished the packet, the system went electronic. So I had to turn around, go redo it.
Wait. The day that you did the entire packet.
It takes more than a day.
Okay.
It took the whole summer. So you need signatures of all kinds. You need.
Oh no.
Yeah, you have to announce yourself in the newspaper. You have to set up something with the comptroller. I mean, it's just so many things for this packet. So when I was finally done with the packet, the submission went electronic.
Got it.
So I had to go set up electronically and then upload it.
Got it. So
and
there's
then not know what the date would be. So
when they were
actually say, here's your liquor license.
Because they could take forever if they wanted to.
It could take, I mean, you're talking about it all going electronically in one day, and then I did do it the first day, so I was hopeful that it would take, but it could take 6 to 8 weeks, they said. So we knew we weren't opening in November at that point. Well, October at that point.
And then are you paying for rent for this location at the same time, or were you able to work in like months free?
So I have an attorney, a real estate attorney, a commercial property attorney, or whatever it is. So we sat down and kind of worked it out.
Okay.
So I had 4 months of just being able to build out.
Got it.
And then if there were any delays on permitting, specifically that you couldn't open with, which is building permits, those weren't done yet either.
Okay.
Then they'll give you another 90 days.
Got you.
After the 90 days, then you can visit what's going on. But at this point, we've paid a security deposit of the rent amount.
Okay.
The first month's rent.
Okay. And so I think that's a great thing that you pointed out, because even though in some instances it seems like you didn't have a team, but the areas that you really needed, like somebody who knew what they were doing, you had somebody you could call or reach out to or hire that can kind of help with that, right?
Because that part is huge. The attorney thing, what I learned is that with leases, commercial leases, well, with any lease,
right,
it is landlord friendly. which means it could be anything in there. And come to find out, it was stuff in there that said like no loud music or no smoke machines. I mean, you know, just things you don't even think about. And so that person goes through and just reads each line and says, okay, this is probably gonna be a problem for you. This is gonna be a problem for you.
Okay.
And we go back and forth.
Negotiate it and kind of do it like that. Now, when it comes to going back to the delays, like the continue delayed, you were able to kind of stay stress free because it was worked in your contract that wasn't going to affect you or make you have to continue to shell out money,
right?
Or else it probably would have been a total different situation.
Yeah, like I said, everything that could go wrong almost did, but it was just like the timing. So even with the permits, we got pushed back on permitting, but there was still a lot of things we need to do. So it wasn't like, oh God, you know, we need to hurry up and get in here. But there came to a point where now we've been spending money on remodeling. We got our bathroom done probably 3 different times. You know, you find out that this contractor didn't use this kind of wood, these kind of things. So we had to do a couple of areas over. So by the time we opened, we needed to open. Like it was like
ain't no choice.
We need to open.
I ain't got nothing else to give.
I have nothing else. We need to open. So whatever food we got in there, cook it up. Whatever drinks, like
because we're not even talking about stocking food and the drinks and the stuff that you need to actually sell.
Exactly.
Golly.
Inventory and
nothing.
No.
Nothing.
No.
So let me ask you this question, and I'm asking you this question because I talk to a lot of our clients and our students a lot about developing basic skill sets will give you confidence for bigger opportunities.
Yes.
And how when you're in a business, not too many people can teach you your perspective, your experience in the business until you are in the business, kind of working it through. So you gave us, we know like you was a hustler. You selling stuff, you organizing stuff, you managing stuff. Do you think a lot of those skill set developments and different things that you were able to tap into, like gave you a little bit more confidence that you can actually make this thing work out?
100%, because like, if the main chef doesn't come in, I can go back there and cook. If I don't have a bartender, I can go bartend. And it seems like the smallest things. That's why I tell people in bar and restaurant industries, like that don't have to be a side hustle. That could be a stepping stone. Because like I can do everything in that restaurant. I mean, from the front door to the back door.
To the back door.
And anything, so anything I need done, if I can't do it, I know what resources to, you know. And that was learned from those things. And I didn't even realize it. Like, I get up there and I'm like, dang, this seems so simple to me. And I have to go through staff, you know, trying to find people that can do exactly what I'm doing.
Wow.
So I can step out.
Yeah. And I honestly think looking back or listening back or observing kind of your past, I feel like that was God giving you your business school. Yeah. When you kind of think about it, because we don't know like the direction that he gonna have us in. But when you think like, okay, I was doing like a little management and managing people and managing operations. Oh, I wasn't a bad worker. I just don't like inefficient. I don't like lackluster. I don't like people that, because you say, I'm right now, let's just fix it. It don't take that long to fix this problem. And then so you start realizing that now you got an eye for things that aren't working right, and it'll make you want to fix it. So he trained your eye. And then from training your eye, then you went from managing. Then from managing, you went from talking to people, doing some finances to kind of understand, you know, where things should be and where they shouldn't be, to prepare you for that. So what was from you getting, from you tax prepping or managing your friend's business to opening your location, what was that time frame, if you will?
Oh, it was small
doing bar.
Oh, it was very small. So I graduated December 2020.
Okay.
She started doing her own thing, like somewhere around there, January.
Okay.
By April, I had ended up getting a nursing job.
Okay.
So I already had to step away.
Okay.
So then I got the opportunity somewhere in April.
Okay.
Then the lease came July.
Got it.
So between April and July, I'm working on that business plan.
The whole thing.
I'm working with the attorney, going back and forth, because before we can sign a lease, we have to redline it and figure out what we want.
I got you.
So that goes back and forth. So that's only like a 3-month process.
And then the bartending. How long were you bartending and like working in a restaurant to learn all the functions, the insides and outs?
That's kind of always been my side thing. So I had served when I was like 18.
Okay.
But I started bartending at Mickey, serving and bartending at this place called Mickey's.
Okay.
Which is one of my friends owns it too. 2013.
Okay.
And so that just always was in the background.
So this is a decade.
Yeah, that was always in the background.
So you're a decade in though.
Yeah.
So and I asked you those questions because although the title and the caption shows the story of black woman opens up a business and she didn't really have a plan, it seems, and she grew it to millions of dollars. That don't mean that everybody bought it. We got to get to that too.
Get to that too.
But the business revenue wise is doing well in comparison to anybody else.
And
that
what
starts.
anybody thought.
Right. And what you thought at the time. You're like, I just want to get this thing open to make some money. And then to take a look back, like let's look past what everyone celebrates.
Okay.
Now we're looking at Aliya trained 10 years, technically, for this moment to happen, which is all of the reason why you had a little bit of confidence to say, running a restaurant, I can do everything. But also as a founder or a leader of your business, because you've been in every department, now you can easily see when something's off and when something's wrong.
Right.
What do you think that insight of being able to, you've been in every department, you've worked every piece of the restaurant, what do you think advantage does that give you versus someone who was just a manager or,
It's necessary. It builds your whole thinking infrastructure. Like you said, I didn't even put it deep in that. I just I used to do this, I used to do that. And I know that's what contributed to me knowing. But a lot of people, I've seen it, like they get into some of these businesses, especially restaurants, thinking like, well, I know what I like to eat and it shouldn't be that hard to cook and all these different things. And you see immediately those cracks. Like if you don't have some kind of knowledge of what you're putting your heart into,
right,
then I can't imagine. I can't imagine not knowing this stuff and being in there overwhelmed, because I have people that do work for me that are still learning, and I see how overwhelming it can be. And I'm like, some of these things aren't that deep to me because I've seen worse or I've been through this.
Yes.
So I couldn't imagine not having that background and trying to do this.
So when you had your team, it's easy for you to know who cutting corners.
Oh, for
It's
sure.
easy for you to find people that are entitled, that's barely doing anything, when you know what it really takes to actually do those positions. But I want you to talk about kind of like the light that you see in the ladies that work with you, for them to see that you're willing to roll up your sleeves. Because I done heard stories, you get back there and cook.
Yeah, I was.
Okay. so
Yeah, I can be in the kitchen sometimes. I've been in there 10 hours, like if that's what's needed. Because, like again, after the pandemic, some great things came out of it, but a lot of things came out of it that, I don't want to sound like one of those people, but people don't really work anymore. There's a lot of people, there were so many ways. For one, there were so many get rich quick schemes and all kind of stuff. So, it's hard to kind of get people to do some of these jobs at the wage that you have to pay for these things. Like, I would love to
be able to
pay people like livable wages, which I do feel like I pay, but these wages where this be their only job and things like that. But I remind people, this might not be a job that'll be your only job.
Right.
But
we're growing.
It's a great place. It's a great place to start. I have the part-time hours. I have these things, but I forgot the question.
No, you answered good. You answered good because I was talking about how you having the ability to just jump right in, and then the confidence that your staff has with being able to see that you're willing to.
Yeah, I do. I 100% get the respect I deserve for that.
Yeah,
like they definitely say, they know I'll come in there. So like, there's no issues of this. Like even from my side, where I treat them or talk to them any kind of way. Because I'm doing these things, I want this to work too.
That's right.
This is where I make my money. So I'm working beside you, and a lot of them like, no, go. You need to sit down. When I can sit down, I promise you, I'm gonna sit down.
That's right.
Like I don't have no problems with sitting down. But yeah, no, they definitely, let me know that they appreciate seeing me work. I have some of them pull me to the side, like, see, I like you. You'll work with us. That kind of stuff. But to me, it's not. I like working back there all the time. So.
You're like, I've been doing this a decade, so it don't mean nothing to me. Because if I didn't have a restaurant, I'd probably still be.
I would still probably be doing it on the side.
Yeah.
It's almost an industry that you could do almost forever. There's always going to be a fit for some kind of bartender or some kind of server at every age.
Got you.
Depending on the audience.
I'm going to get back into the business because I do want to talk about how you were able to, do some remarkable things, especially in your first year, 2 years. But I want to talk, you and I talked about off camera about how much time and how much you actually love taking the time out to let your girls know and let your team know, like, this don't have to be your final stop. This is your start grounds. This is where you develop these things, and talk about like your passion and why you're so open to that, because most owners and CEOs would never take the time to let that person know, like, this may not be your last stop, but this is what you can learn. So what brought that passion, and why do you love that piece so much?
I mean, because it was me, for one. You know, like we were talking about, there was a time when I didn't really necessarily have an exact vision. Like, I knew I was going to be doing something.
Right.
But I didn't say, oh, you know, I didn't go into the bar saying, oh, I'm just here to get money to go through this or go through that or do this.
That's right.
It eventually came to that point where, like, yes, now I'm working to get through nursing school or these things. But a lot of the people you encounter in those environments, a lot of them judge. They're like, oh, you just a bartender, or you just a server. And I know some of the girls will say that too, like, it's the way they talk to them. And I'm telling them, like, you know, y'all, for one, y'all make good money. You make your own schedules. Even in meetings, I've told them, this is your business. You are a contractor. You work. That's right. You have your own business. So treat it as such. Like, you want to go work different places, you have to carry yourself that way.
That's right.
Act like it's your own business. And the whole, this is not the end or the beginning. I tell them, you could be doing what I'm doing. I was just doing it.
Wow.
So that's kind of where it comes from. It's just simply that you could literally do anything from this. It's just because this is giving you the freedom to do so many things. Go to school, start your own business. You have visibility to people every day. Like, use this. That's all it be to me.
Good. And I think it's important, because if you've never been in that staff person's seat or in their shoes, you don't know how they feel when you talk to them crazy. You don't know how they feel when you don't deliver on your promises. You don't know how they feel when, you know, they work in a double. Because if you've never worked a double, you don't know how tiring it can be. And so I think it's great for the fact that it's a clear testament of the growth of your business, especially in the first 1 or 2 years, that it's clear that you've been in that seat before. So it's easy for you to attract people that kind of want to stay with you and kind of be around you because it makes sense. But when we talk about growing this business, okay, we got to get into the sauce. You ain't got to give us the secret sauce, but just something that we can hold on to. From $0 to $4 million, it had to be exciting, and it had to stretch you past your imagination. What were some of the headaches that came with that growth that fast?
Yeah, let's start with that. So the business model for Eso has always been, like I said, I went out in Houston, like, just the way they do their brunches. So for me, it was always supposed to be kind of this place where you could come get food that you typically would get. I'm not fine dining. I don't want to be fine dining. Okay. But you can find some of the items that you can get at fine dining. Not only are you getting reasonable portions, but it's affordable, and you can be yourself. You're chilling. It's a casual environment. So that was always kind of the plan for me. Whether that came with the DJs and the live music or whatever. The contributing to a lot of the growth was that people thought it was a club at first. So, we would have these huge brunches like we projected, but then at night it would be so many people. And I mean, what comes with that? What comes with a club and all that stuff. So that first year, I mean, just to kind of give you an example, because I don't see these kind of numbers anymore. I'm okay with the numbers I see now. They're more realistic.
I got you.
But we're talking $40,000 days.
Yeah.
Like, $40,000 days. So we're talking like from noon to 7, we've made 20. Yeah. And then from, we take a little break, and then from 8 to 2, we're making another 20. But that came with so much. Yeah. It came with, buying all that inventory to replace it. It came with paying so many people, because you need
sometimes overstaffing because you're just trying to.
Huge security team, all kind of things. And then the headaches of the city, because I'm in what's called the entertainment district. But the particular area I'm in, they have very specific rules as opposed to some of the people that are farther away from this area. Okay. So for me, that drew a lot of attention from the police. Got it. From the city themselves, where they were putting a microscope on everything. So I would get a letter about do this or else, do this or else. And so I had to make changes. But that was the headaches. It was definitely the city, the police. I mean, even me, like the safety. Yeah. Having that many people, we would be at capacity. People would be coming through different doors. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
So,
and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I talk a lot about scaling too fast, and everybody wants that business to be popping, but there are so many different things that you got to get in order first.
Yes.
And you got to put the health of your business over the
possible
glory
growth,
of growth and all of that, because with growth, your infrastructure has to be able to handle that.
Exactly, and that's one of the big things. So with all those people and all that going on, it's like we're losing on the quality side. So here we have this great product that we're being able to showcase now, but it was back then. It was like we couldn't keep up. They're coming in, sitting down. Our restaurant is at capacity at open. So the quality and the timing of food, and that's out of that's causing problems to the business. So people are like, well, I went there and I couldn't sit down. I went there, I couldn't get in. I went there and my food took forever. I went there and my food's hot or burnt. Anything that could happen with just overdoing the kitchen.
Right.
That was a lot of it in the beginning. So I kept saying, I have to take control.
Yes.
Because there was a team in place that was doing things for me. And, all they knew was numbers, and that's fine. That was their job. They did the job that they were assigned to do. But then I had to say, you know what, although we're making this money, it's costing us way more money.
Way more.
In so many areas.
Come on.
So I'm going to have to take over and go back to what I originally designed for us to do, even if it
takes a little longer.
And we're definitely feeling that. Like the second year, way different from the first year. Like it's one of those.
This is good. Wait. Y'all hear this? We getting some real CEO like issues and solutions. And I'm more and more impressed with you as more you keep talking. Okay. All right. So I want to unpack that. Okay. Listen. Let me see some ones in the chat if y'all are absolutely loving what Aliya's talking about. Cause I already know that when we do clip this thing up and we put that thing out there, the ethos, she gonna have a couple of them that go viral. I promise you that. So, I want to go back, and I first of all, I appreciate your transparency and willingness to just kind of share, because these truths need to be heard.
Right.
So it blew up. Things are doing well. Now you have to make a decision. First, before the decision, what were your feelings seeing the growth, but then seeing everything else, like what your vision was turned completely?
I mean, it was stressful because it was, on one hand, like you do want to, there's a lot that comes with having this extremely successful business. It's fun for a while or whatever. But like for me, I never got in it for the notoriety. Like I was never in it to kind of be this face and go out and like people like know who I am and that kind of thing. I just wanted a place where, I'm employing people, I'm making some money, but it's like the staple. I want people to be like, oh, you need to go here. That was kind of it with it. I didn't. Okay. When it was, I would argue with people like, it's not a club, it's a restaurant. They're like, no, that's a club. Like, so I'm like, okay, I definitely have to bring it back in.
Wow.
I want this to be a place that everybody can come to. But now, at this time, it's not.
Right.
And I can't say anything because I'm there. I'm seeing what's happening. So I know I have to say, all right, I got to kind of clean house with some things. That's where, right. And we seen it. Like we seen it immediately. Like we're not doing clubs tonight. People are not coming here.
That's right.
So we restructured it. We do things like night brunch, and we were doing, we have karaoke. We've even tapped into like poetry and live music and things like that just for that piece. Because we, like as a business, we have to still be open at night. I would love to just do like a brunch, maybe close at 8, right, which we do on Sundays and stuff like that. But until we get to that point, we still have to kind of tap into everything.
I got you.
And more so pushing the food and things like that. And we are getting there now.
Okay. And I think that's important. Because when we talk about scale, I always say scaling is not growing. Scaling is scaling back. I'm pulling back all the stuff that don't work or that I did not like that made me feel any type of way. That's what scaling is. Let me fix it. Let's get more efficient. Let's clean this thing up. Now, going to that decision, growth or scaling back. I want you to talk about the difficulty of this decision, because that means that you have to fire some people, maybe let go of some partnerships, maybe really stand firm in your belief where you saw this going when you originally started. Can you talk about some of the difficult things that you like kind of had to endure in that space? And don't have to be specific to a thing, but like, letting go or,
Yeah, well, for one, I mean, the restaurant industry, club industry, lounge, it's so much that's going on. There's so many different businesses and owners and promoters and all these things that, you would think you don't have time to focus on, which I really, truly don't. But there's a lot of, with anything, that's a community.
Got it.
And so that community can have mess in it, or, you would like for it to be kind of a community where you can band together, which I do know quite a few owners that do have that kind of positive piece about themselves. Like if I need to ask them something or reach out to them. And there are those people. But for the most part, it's one of those industries, like, especially honestly, what I'm learning, I don't know about too many other female owners. There's a few, but kind of doing what I was doing at the time, there weren't any.
Got it.
Doing it, I guess calling it a club and doing it like that. There weren't any then when I first started. So I feel like I got a lot of like kind of, shunning with that, where people weren't really, there wasn't a lot of support and things like that from them. But that decision, it was super duper stressful because you know what you're making. Like you see it one week.
It's coming in, baby.
Yeah, like you see like this week I made this. This week last year I made this. And people are like, well, you need to kind of tap back into this, or you should do that. And I'm like, I'm like, I can't. Like I cannot. But like you said with the scaling thing, I can slowly get back into those things where I, dedicate a day to something kind of like what I did the last time.
Yep.
But I can't do 5 days of club-like things. But I could, on a Saturday, let's look at what it looks like to host this kind of party or do things like that. So I'm firm on my decisions.
Yeah.
Like there were people that flat out kind of walked during that time. Like, that's not what I'm looking for. That's not gonna make any money. And very unprofessionally, there was so many people that just kind of was like, oh, I'm not feeling it, and just left. And then there was a time where they started seeing that regrowth and they thought they could come back.
Ain't no come. And we ain't doubling back.
And we ain't doing that at all. Like, I'm big on that. And I would look them in their face, no, we're not doing it.
Yeah.
Because it was a little bit hurtful. Like, I don't know them personally, so I don't care. But it was kind of like,
dang,
that's how you gonna do. You couldn't just say, like,
we was breaking bread together when things
and you
was
couldn't
good.
just say, hey, this ain't working for me. Those conversations are huge for me. When people are honest, like, this particular thing does not work for me, maybe we can reconnect in the future. I would respect that all day. You got to make money. But that's not how things were handled with a lot of people in the industry. So when I was scaling back, yes, it was me being kind of like tunnel vision and just making the decisions, like having to look at, what am I spending on this? What am I spending on that? Where can I, make this area better? And there was so many areas. It was food, it was drinks, it was security, it was, promotions, it was even staff. Like, okay, got to kind of make the staff kind of look a certain way and everything.
Right.
So, it was stressful for like a good 4 months.
Yeah.
It's stressful every day. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah, I was to say,
it
ain't stressful no more.
It's stressful every day.
I
like,
wake up stressed.
I just go decompress. Like, I have to go home and just like, dark room.
Just like, I don't even call me.
I'm
don't
done.
even talk to me.
If everything I can do here, please ask me while I'm here.
Because when I leave, please don't call
me.
Please don't call.
But,
and it's funny that you said that. We got to a point in our company, we were doing 15, 18 million.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was sweet. However, the headache that comes with viral brands, the headache that comes with not being able to, because our infrastructure historically has been able to handle maybe 5 or 6 million a year. We can handle that. We can perform quality. That's why our brand is strong. That's why our price points are where they are, and we can really impact companies, which allow for us to acquire and buy the businesses. Cool. But when our revenue outshot our capacity, that's when vulnerability at the highest level began to seek in. I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I had anxiety. And when I looked at my phone, I didn't even want to look at my phone.
I had to get another phone.
Listen, I went on focus mode, block mode. I went on can't see text messages mode, just like shut down. It was to the point I was going to break. And so the thing I love about your story the most, Aliya, is that most people's ego won't tell them dial it back down.
Yeah.
Most of our ego will be the reason why we keep trying to put pedal to the metal and end up busting on a larger level, which can actually destroy the brand even more.
Right.
Because of that pedal to the metal type of situation. So Come on, man. Hey, they saying in the chat they love it. They say, man, restaurant industry's a beast. She's killing it. They saying that they gonna come to when they come to Dallas. They checking you out. Listen, I'm just they love what you're talking about. You're kicking the good stuff. But I think that the most important thing about the story is that we get it. We grow. We make that decision. We dial it back, and then you see that first month after dialing it back. Let's talk about what was going on in your head after the dial back.
Honestly, it was happening gradually. So to be like things that
so it wasn't sharp.
It was definitely sharp.
Okay,
but there were things happening gradually. Like normally I don't need, so many things are on auto pay, autopilot. Then I get like a notice like, hey, you changed this information.
Yeah.
And, you got it. We need 2 months of this, and I'm like,
whoa.
Wait, I thought we were paying that, So it was like stuff like that because I had to change a lot of stuff. I had to change bank accounts and everything. There was
because you had partners and people employed
fraud.
Staff.
First of all, I had somebody write an $8,000 check, all kind of stuff happened. Like, so I changed bank accounts. Then I look up and I had all these things like on auto pay. Then I'm like, oh shoot, I owe these people, and then, and I'm like, but all this stuff used to be kind of just happened because there was so much money.
Yeah.
So if something,
so you couldn't see the holes because there was so much money coming in.
If something needs to be paid, we just pay it.
Yeah.
If we need to get something fixed, we just get it fixed.
Yeah.
Now I have to systematically say, okay,
what's most important?
I think we can wait on this.
Okay.
We're going, or hey, see if they do a 7-day payout or that. And I mean, it's the truth. Like it's just like just like trying to pay bills at your house. Like I'm gonna move the light bill to the 3rd, and I'm gonna keep the.
No, that's business.
Yeah, so
that's the truth about business. People need to know because, especially, I want to ask you this question. When it came to now, you have to look at the financials daily. Mm-hmm. It goes to the thing like you got to mind your business. And if you don't mind your business, money will just find ways to just leave it.
Yes.
After you started to really pay attention to your financials and where the money was going, how much stuff did you see like, wait a minute?
I know for a fact, if we're talking about a $4 million profit, I can tell you that because we have we have credit cards, we have cash. So I didn't even realize I was getting cash deposits. Until like mid-year last year. Like they were always accounted for, but I didn't realize. So I was talking to somebody. I haven't done the math because it's gonna require us to like sit down and figure it out. And maybe somebody go to court or something because I know for a fact there's probably $1 million in theft.
Because cash.
Just because of cash and just like accounting for things being spent, but yeah. So
you have record on your books. But it doesn't account for cash being deposited.
Just spent, cash was never deposited.
Ever.
Like there was always, we needed, we got this, we need this, we did it. It was
just
always,
making up stuff.
It was, but then it was also me not realizing how much cash was involved. Until, like I said, it all came to a head at once. Like you said, once I started looking at the financials, there came a point where I'm putting money for other things that if we had cash on hand, that's what kind of been handling those. So now that I'm having to be like, oh, here's another couple thousand for this or another couple thousand for that, I'm like, how much money did we have? Like
in cash? Yeah. Because that was never, because when the money coming, whatever hit that bank account, I'm happy. It's that was more than I thought. I'm killing it right now.
Y'all telling me that everything is taken care of, like y'all don't need me to do anything. But then I had to think back, like I'm still actually paying for the inventory. That's right. So I'm like, what are we doing with the money?
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is the pain of your startup revenuing like it's like a past startup, but you're still having like these startup entrepreneur like issues, like not knowing where to find, what to look for.
I think the biggest thing too was paying ourselves. Because I just continue, like my money, because I am the business, my money is just constantly flowing. So I get a little bit and I have to give it all back. I get it. But there was a point where, because we all had invested quite a bit, I feel like that's why at this point, people have been paid what they were owed as far as investments. We all got our money back.
Got it.
We were paying ourselves $14,000 a month.
Got it.
For a minute.
You and all your partners?
Yes.
Like distribution, ownership, distribution.
14,000.
Got it.
And so I'm like, I look back at that, and of course, that's what we were owed.
Yep.
But
the pace of paying it back.
The pace of paying it back. And so for me, I've put all that back in. Tenfold. Money, so it's like.
I get you.
I think for that, now that I know, I would kind of probably have maybe a true financial like advisor.
Yes.
Because I did end up getting one mid-year. And that helped out a lot, but yeah, you definitely want to start out like finances should be one of the most important parts that you are like holding on to and managing.
Yep.
In the beginning, I had these partners and I was so big on like teamwork,
right, that
there are things that I know how I am,
right,
that I would just manage and handle, that I was trying to be kind of that like, team player with,
like, hey,
and I just
you got it.
I
would trust you. Yes.
Yeah, and it's not that they did anything wrong at all. They probably were more lenient than I would have been,
right?
Or I probably could have brought some to their attention that I'm thinking,
right,
and they could have handled it.
See, this is
why
I
was trying to be a team player.
This is why I'm loving. This is how I know that what you've experienced is literally a blimp on where your future is going. And there are certain people that I talk to, meet, interview, train, consult, that I know they reach their capacity. Mm-hmm. So I'm talking to them about like getting ready to sell a company, like, whatever, dying down, replacing yourself. But your strong sense of self-accountability is so noteworthy, because although it could be easy for you to just, and although we have those moments when we do, like they got me, however, when you come back around, the fact that you said, I should not have given or not been as stern as I should have been in these areas, because that's you coming back to account what this was my vision.
Yeah.
They were aiding me for my thing.
Right.
And I should have just been like, you're investing in my vision and what I saw. So this is how I needed to go and how to operate.
And that came out so late for me. Yeah. Like, and I kicked myself because I'm like, dang, because now, of course, I'm running around here putting out all these little fires and saying stuff, but it's like, I don't know what, I cannot tell you what was the process between, I know it was. So I was just excited. Like once it started, and it was like, it seemed like it was a well-oiled machine. And it just seemed like everything was going so well. So when stuff started happening, I'm like, dang, that's kind of big.
Right.
One of the bigger things is, when you sell food and alcohol, you have to pay, it's a lot of taxes that are involved. To me, just in general, I don't think it's just alcohol.
Food, alcohol, sales tax,
all that stuff.
Property
that stuff
tax,
is ridiculous.
City tax.
In Texas, it's crazy. And I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
So it's like the more you making, you collect tax, but then you have to just pay a whole nother tax.
Right.
Like that's just out your pocket.
Right.
So these are things that instead of me paying myself, I could have just been sending those taxes.
Right.
Now I'm like, oh, we gotta get the taxes. Because it's crazy.
But these are great learning experiences that only makes you stronger.
Yeah.
It helps you be able to see, because some things we couldn't have figured it out on our own, because you wouldn't even know what questions to ask somebody.
I told somebody that there is no how-to guide on like even on some of these things. You don't even know where to begin.
Yeah. When
they hand you that packet, like when you say I'm gonna go do the liquor license, it don't tell you even where you're going. So I'm seeing like, okay, I need a signature from this person, so I'm just showing up. But then he's like, oh, you need to go on this website and do this, or you need to do that. I'm like, y'all don't have even the little step-by-step, it has nothing to do with any of these things. So it's like they mean for you to put somebody in place to do this stuff. I'm guessing.
So scaling back, what things have you been paying more attention to put in place to prepare for the next time, it scales back to where you used to be? What things are you implementing right now to ensure you can stabilize that type of growth the next time? Or are you still processing and seeing?
I probably am still processing, because like for me right now, I had to just like get back to the basics.
Got it.
So right now, like as far as my business is concerned, like my best friend runs the daily operations, and I've literally said to kind of just, I try my best to not overstep, and I'm like here until of course she always says it because she's really good at this. Like she says, I'm gonna make this decision up until a certain point. If I send it to you, if you don't like it, have a solution for me. Otherwise, we're gonna do it like this.
Okay.
That's what I got to deal with. So I'm like, cool.
And this is your advisor? This is your...
No, this is my general manager.
Okay, general manager. Okay.
That's all it is, just me and her,
Okay.
in a sense. We tested out so many different types of leads and managements, and so right now it's just me and her running the business.
Okay.
And so that's why I say I've scaled all the way back, because before
Gotcha.
I can put this back into
That's right.
somebody's hands, like we got to figure out how to, because you still never can fully trust. That's
right.
number one. So we have to figure out kind of like what the fail safe is for trusting
right.
some of these people.
That's right.
Like if I'm gonna put this in your hands, which is some of this stuff, we're figuring that out little by little. So we're getting to that point where we both can be out of the building
Got
and all
it.
that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm still working on the bigger picture of it all.
Good. So I wish we could spend more time. We're gonna have to bring her back. She's a businesswoman, so we gotta respect her time. But I want to ask a question that maybe you could tell the people that are listening. Mm-hmm. What's one or two takeaways that you want to give to a new entrepreneur that's trying to scale, that's trying to grow? What's two takeaways that you could probably give them to kind of encourage them or to help them get through something tough?
Ooh. It seems so simple, but literally Google.
Yeah.
Like continue to research whatever you want to research.
Yeah.
But research, like see, because for me, one of the bigger things, I was looking up lists. I was just looking to see like, am I actually doing these things when I was starting up? And I was like, I pulled a list on opening restaurants.
Okay.
And it probably had like 20 things on it. But when I looked at what I had already done, I was already at the middle of the list.
Okay.
Just from simply, just going out there and doing it.
Got it.
So go see what the steps are to what you're trying to do. Like, and just, to me, it's just constantly researching, looking at other stuff. I'm not big on I would like to be a mentor maybe, but I'm not big on the mentorship yet, like following anybody.
Right.
But you can silently follow people.
Yeah.
Just see what people got going on in your industry.
Yeah, see if they real first.
That too.
Yeah.
That you're big on that. See, that's me too. Like I learned that out here actually.
Yeah.
I learned that doing this. So to that point, everybody ain't got it like it looked like. So do your own research.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my takeaway.
And y'all listen, y'all, I'm full. Okay, I think we got this one right. She talked about the pain points. She talked about the struggles, but most importantly, she brought up some serious things that we talk to you guys about every single day. The research and the information never ends. But the most important thing, after making the money and seeing it, operations, efficiency, structure, policies, KPIs are all still the most important thing. And I know I tell y'all that you need to focus on that, and it's not the funnest thing. However, it will save you from millions of dollars lost when you skip steps, and you can be able to check people along the way. So this is our spotlight of the month. And we're gonna blast her like a radio station. We playing a song, we putting clips out because we want more people to understand the powerfulness of real people doing real business, making real mistakes, things that you really can learn from, not these people that's just peddling courses. Y'all, this is Dr. Jake Tayler Jacobs, Power Bank Society, and I hope you enjoyed your show. Peace.
They got it, but let's buy some land and build a family. That's a grown-up flex. And see a black man winning and get so upset. This is generational, inspirational, integrative though. On the rise vertically, working like I ain't